It is Five Live's TV review. We have Boyd Hilton from Heat magazine, presenter of the new Heat Unmissables podcast with us. Woohoo!
Oh, thanks, Sarah.
Oh, lovely. And
very exciting.
And Sarah, it's all about the podcast these days,
Totally.
isn't it? And Sarah Doran's with us as well from the Radio Times. Afternoon to you both. So, Boyd, what are we looking at this week?
Well, we're looking at a huge weekend of TV, really, with the new Doctor Who series, a new BGT, Line of Duty, of course, carrying on and thrilling everyone massively. There's a very interesting new Netflix show called 13 Reasons Why. Oh, so much.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's start with Doctor Who first, and Britain's Got Talent that started again at the weekend. Sarah, what do you think? Doctor Who, good first episode?
Yeah, I didn't think it was a bad first outing, to be honest. I was pleasantly surprised. A couple of the episodes last series I wasn't exactly won over by, so it was quite a nice Saturday evening. You know, having Doctor Who and BGT there, it just felt like a proper old Saturday night again.
Yeah. Boyd, for you? Or is it just not quite different enough?
Oh, no, I thought it was great.
Oh,
I mean,
did you?
I am a committed Whovian, so I love Doctor Who generally, and I think this was a reminder of how kind of charming and delightful Doctor Who can be. I think Peter Capaldi's version of the Doctor has kind of eased into his skin now, and he feels kind of friendlier and sweeter. Really did some very sweet things in this episode, and I think Pearl Mackie is fantastic.
Oh, she's great.
She really surprised me.
She is great, and I also love Matt Lucas. I think that trio is going to be really wonderful. I'm a bit sad that this is going to be just one series with those three bouncing off each other.
Yeah, well, the rumours now that Chris Marshall is the new Doctor. Good choice, bit safe, not likely.
I don't believe it, Sarah. I don't buy it. I really don't. I don't think it'll be him. I mean, he'd be fine, but...
Yeah. Go on, Sarah.
Sorry, it's just too kind of simplistic that he'd walk straight off Death in Paradise and straight into Doctor Who. And we have a lot of people wondering, is the Doctor going to regenerate early this year? And it all seems a bit too simple. Or maybe it is going to be that simple, but I just don't quite buy it.
I wish I could regenerate early this year. I feel like I could do with a bit of regeneration.
We
It's
all
only
do.
April. Speaking of which, 9 million people tuned in to watch BGT, Britain's Got Talent, on Saturday night. Does it feel to you two like there's been a bit of a change of tone, Boyd?
I know what you mean. I think it did feel that they'd front-loaded this episode with good acts, with, really... I thought there were more talent. People always say about this, it's the cliche, if we run out of talent. But this really was jam-packed with kind of amazing acts, really. The impressionist comedy singer was great. There was a brilliant singer right at the end.
Sarah Akumu.
Yeah, she was
We're going to hear a
fantastic.
clip of her in a little while.
The Missing People's Choir was unbelievably moving, and they were brilliant as well. So I know what you mean. I think maybe we'll see in future episodes, there will be those really weird... And there were a couple of eccentric and silly acts as well. Yeah. But I think we will see more of those. But I think they definitely... Why not put an incredible level of talent in this first episode to prove that there is talent out there?
Yeah, and there was dog yoga, Sarah.
I absolutely love that. I'm a dog addict. I love animals and I love watching them do funny things. And do you know what? The yoga act, it wasn't the best, but the way it was packaged, the way it was put together, and the way those pets peed in David Walliams' shoes, it was just what you wanted. It was light, it was fun, and it was fluffy.
Yes, I think you just mentioned the highlight there, and it was clear, obviously, that Simon Cowell had greenlit that particular one. He loves dogs as much as you do. Plenty more TV news coming up for the next half hour on Afternoon Edition with Boyd and Sarah. We'll look ahead to tonight's final episode of ITV's Broadchurch.
You're listening to a BBC 5 Live podcast.
If you like this, you might also like this.
Kermode and Mayo's film review.
If you don't know your app from your elbow, boom tish, here all week, tip your waitress.
To find out more about our range of podcasts, click, tap or swipe bbc.co.uk/5live.
We are talking TV for the next 20 minutes with Boyd and Sarah. No time to waste because we've got lots to pack in. We left it at dog yoga with Britain's Got Talent on Saturday night. 9 million people tuning in. Here's a little bit of this is quite an interesting act. Quite a lot of people talking about this. This is the Mind Readers DNA. Have a listen.
Simon, I believe you're thinking 717. You're thinking of the colour turquoise. You're thinking of Sir Roger Moore.
May I? Ladies and gentlemen, exactly the number 717. He thought of turquoise. You chose Roger Moore. Simon, thank you so much.
How did they do that?
So much.
Many of you may be wondering how we read minds. What you should be wondering is how we started off this performance wearing camouflage t-shirts and ended up wearing black. We are DNA.
And that bit of DNA's Act, thanks to Psycho Entertainment and Thames. How many people, Sarah, will have rewound the mind readers to see how it was done, do you think?
Well, countless. And I know somebody has slowed it down. They've put it on Twitter in slow-mo with a Twitter video to see, because they did think at one stage, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who doesn't want to go, behind the magic curtain. It did appear that one of them, as they were walking up to the stage, was like adjusting their T-shirt. So maybe it was during that. I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to watch it through myself.
Boyd?
Yeah, it was very clever because even if you do, you still can't work it out. Even if you do rewind, because I did rewind it, but you still can work it. Obviously, it wasn't all filmed in one take, so there are edits. So it's slightly harder to work out than you think.
Okay,
but they were very clever. I thought they were really good.
Let's have a quick listen to this, girl, because I didn't watch this. I fell asleep with my small child when BGT was on. You know, when you go upstairs to bed to put them down, and then you end up falling asleep beside them, and then you wake up at 12 o'clock and I've missed my whole night. Well, that's what happened to me. My husband, meanwhile, was watching Britain's Got Talent and loved this girl. This is Sarah Kumu, and she is singing And I'm Telling You.
And I'm telling you, I'm not going. You're the best man I'll ever know. There's no way I can ever go. No, no.
Wow. How old do you think Sarah Kumu is, everybody? If you weren't watching, she's 15 years old. What a pair of lungs she has, boys.
Incredible. And I have to say, that was a classic BGT moment because she's only 15. That voice just does not sound like it comes out of a 15-year-old. It sounds like some great soul singer, who's been around for decades. And people are very cynical about BGT, and it is manipulative. It is, obviously, it's part of its whole shtick that it tries to wring emotion from us. But Saturday's episode, I have to say, was an all-time classic. It constantly pulled the rug from under you in a very clever way. Just the storytelling and the way they shot those acts. And she was a fantastic climax to the whole episode. Honestly, it was fantastic TV, I have to say.
First thing Terry said to me was, gosh, you should have seen BGT last night. This girl was just stunning. She's destined to be a huge star. So finally, I've been waiting all day to talk about this. Now, this conversation might have a few spoilers, okay? This is Line of Duty for a couple of minutes, so just turn the radio down. You cannot say that I haven't warned you just for a few minutes, okay? If you've got your fingers in your ears, good. Praise the Lord. Arnott is alive. How surprised were you that a man could fall over, 3 flights of stairs, land on his head, and just come round and go, feel a bit groggy? I mean, boy.
Well, to be fair, it's worse than that. He will be, he's definitely going to be affected by that injury, rather worse than feeling worse for wear. So they will follow through with him being. I've seen them following next episode, so I'm really trying not
Easy
to. I
know.
know.
So actually, he has hurt himself a wee bit.
He hurt himself quite badly. Let's just say that. But I did think that someone tweeted after the previous episode went out, they had a 7% chance, apparently medically, of surviving. Someone worked it out. Wow. So he's very lucky. But the brilliance of Jed Mercurio's writing is that he makes these twists and turns and these kind of dramatic manipulations so believable because every single scene in Line of Duty works so hard at being authentic. These moments that are actually slightly far-fetched, perhaps, you still believe them. He's an absolute genius at this stuff. I just think, every single moment of Line of Duty is brilliantly done.
I wonder what the percentage would be from our medical experts on the possibility of Ros Huntley not dying from septicemia before.
Well, that's a very good question.
I mean, honestly, how bad can that arm get, Sarah, before something happens to her?
I'm not sure. I mean, she's done well to get this far, hasn't she?
She's only starting the antibiotics now. But we have seen, have we not, that she is made of absolute steel in that last episode.
That one-on-one interview with Ted Hastings, I love those interviews. I think that's where Jed Mercurio is probably at his strongest, at those sit-downs. And you just know that, how are they going to get around this woman? And will they, ultimately?
Did you feel, either of you, like the sexism storyline, when it came in, that like it was slightly crowbarred in, or did you think it was perfectly legitimate?
Well, I did wonder in the previous episode when he had made a couple of sexist comments. That's interesting. I definitely thought they were planting a seed. But again, I think he does it so well. He manages these plot shifts so well, Jim McHugh, that I bought it, I have to say. And I think it was a case of her realising that she could use these things that Ted had said to her advantage, and then building this case on that. So, I think she, in a way, was, okay, so she's getting secret reports, as anyone watching the show will find out, of what's happening in his workplace. So she's using all of that against him. Very, very clever.
Yes, it is indeed. And there was that wonderful reveal at the end, though. What did you make of that when a particular member of staff, we're not going to give the name, went and met the assistant chief constable with a folder and looked very, very sheepish? What do you make of that? I actually don't understand what's going on there.
Well, I think it's one of those classic line of duty moments when you think you know what's been going on all along, and he just shocks and surprises you. And I personally can't wait to see what's going to happen there. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody either, but
have you seen the next episode as well?
No, I haven't. So Boyd's ahead of me on that one, so I'm jealous.
I'm not going to say anything at all, because anything I say will be used against me that I'm giving something away. So all I'll say is they do follow up on that. You will find out what's going on there a bit more in the next episode.
Yeah, but also we haven't mentioned it, and we should mention it. There was a really very hardcore moment when Tandy Newton's character slapped her husband very, very hard twice. I mean, that was... I found that quite shocking, I've got to say, and it didn't seem to get a huge response on Twitter, etc. Had it been the other way around, I wondered, might it have had? But I thought that was quite a brave thing to do, Boyd.
Absolutely, and I think it's so, every episode is so full of incident, really, and kind of shocking moments that you're right. That moment was incredibly shocking and surprising, and hasn't been commented on that much. But it was a big moment. I think it said a lot. Again, he doesn't Jim McHugh doesn't spend a lot of time, exploring characters and why they do stuff. You just see these moments and think, oh my God, that says a lot about this marriage and about these two characters.
Nobody's texted to say thanks a million for spoiling everything for me. So I really appreciate you all for being very, very good about that. And not texters, because we are got to do a bit of a TV review. Finally, and I am going to get you to know the colours to the mast here, because I'm going to get you to do the same with Broadchurch now in a second. Who is Balaclava Man?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to... something about Lee Ingleby, so Roz's husband, something about him just don't sit right.
Boyd, before I ask you who you think it is, do you know who it is?
I don't. No, I don't.
So who do you think it might be?
I don't think it's him. I think it's going to be like a more minor character.
Is it that lawyer?
It could be. Even him, I think he's too obvious. I think it's someone else we don't quite... Yeah, I genuinely don't know, but I think it's going to be a more minor character we haven't really noticed that much.
OK, 85058, who is Balaclava Man? And also, while you're at it, you might as well tell us who you think did it in Broadchurch, because we'll be talking about that a little while. I cannot be Lenny Henry. There just cannot be. As always on Teleclub, we ask you for your recommendations. We want you to get in touch with us. Thank you for your text so far with Sell It To Me. Just have a listen to this. This is Joanne from Airdrie last week, who got in touch with this suggestion.
Okay, I want to sell you 13 Reasons Why. I didn't really know anything about the programme before I started watching it, and have spent the last 13 out of 36 hours watching the programme, completely obsessed by it, couldn't stop hitting next episode. Such a gripping story, the characters are amazing, and it builds to an unbelievable finish. So you definitely have to get on it.
So, Sarah Boyd, you've been watching it. It's on Netflix. Sarah, what did you think?
I really, really enjoyed, if you can enjoy this series, because it is just so dramatic. For anybody who doesn't know, it's about a young girl called Hannah who takes her own life, doesn't leave a note, but rather leaves a series of 13 cassette tapes on which she's recorded the 13 reasons she's taken her life. And it's passed around the classmates, each of whom is actually a reason. And it's quite heartbreaking. I say for any kids who've been through bullying in school, it might be a real tough watch, because you watch a lot of just the way the littlest thing that you say to somebody can have such a dramatic impact if it's coupled with a number of other things somebody has said along the way. And it is like the listener from Airdrie said, so addictive. Once you start watching, it's kind of impossible to stop. Well, it was for me anyway.
Boyd, I don't know. I watched 2 episodes and I thought it was really good, but I just didn't connect with it for some reason.
Really?
And I wondered to myself if finally I'm becoming too old for some forms of television, which is a terrible thing, if that's true. But I don't know.
I did connect to it. Yeah, I think. I've watched half of it now, so I'm like 6 in, I think. And I think 3 actually. Watch the next episode, because episode 3 is a bit of a game changer, I thought, in terms of what it explores and the bravery and boldness of it. I do think I think Netflix sometimes gets overpraised. I think it's the kind of it's a brilliant brand, and it's like the it's the buzzword, isn't it, for this kind of TV, for binge watching and all of that. And I have to say, I think BBC drama at the moment is unbeatable. We've talked about Line of Duty, and it's incredible, doing incredible stuff. So, but this is an example of what Netflix does best, because there's nothing like this anywhere on TV. It's a young adult story adapted from a young adult novel. It's about teenagers, but it's incredibly bold, totally harsh and believable depiction of what they're like. It's got swearing. It's got, it deals with sexual situations in a very bold and blunt manner. It doesn't mess about in any way, and I think actually it's incredibly believable. And I'm really interested in the characters, and it's and it does revolve around this girl killing herself, and that's a really, really intense, difficult subject to deal with, and I think it deals with it very well. So I think this is one of the Netflix's best things they've done for a long time.
Okay, well, I'm going to stick with it. If you've got a favourite TV programme you think we should be watching, please send it to us on 85058 or email us as well, afternoonedition@bbc.co.uk. We will read out a few of those in a little while. Let's talk, though, about a lovely, warm pair of snuggly socks that is Peter Kay's Car Share. It's back on BBC One and on the iPlayer. Is it as funny as the first series, Sarah? People will want to know.
The first episode, I wasn't sure, because, spoiler alert, there's a little bit of a situation where they're not in the car together the whole time.
I thought they'd handled that brilliantly, though.
Yeah, it was handled well, but there was just something missing of those little furtive glances they'd give each other, and that kind of tension that you could see building throughout series 1, and I really missed that. That said, excellent choice of song with a bit of Pure and Simple to kick us off. I did think that really gave it the edge.
Yeah, it was. I just love those videos that they do. They are superb.
Oh, so funny.
Boyd, it's broken iPlayer records. 2.5 million people watching this online. Why is that? I mean, if you think about how simple an idea it is, just 2 people in a car.
Well, Peter Kay is a comic giant, though. He's probably the most popular comedy talent out there, really. Maybe Michael McIntyre and Mrs. Brown, maybe are rivals, but people absolutely love Peter Kay. Channel 5 did a documentary of Peter Kay, on which I appeared, I have to say. It's one of those annoying talking heads pundits, and that got millions and millions. I think it got 3 million views or something, which for Channel 5 is incredible. So on one level, people will watch anything that Peter Kay does, but I do think there's a lovely thing about Car Share's challenge to itself, really, of can you sustain a comedy series which is basically 2 people in a car most of the time. Obviously, in that first episode, they toyed with it even more and said, can we sustain an episode in which the 2 people are trying to talk to each other, and one of them's on a bus and one of them's in a car? And I think if you go back to the Royal Family, there's something brilliant about a show which is one situation, people sitting in a room chatting, which the Royal Family was. And if the characters are that well drawn, if the relationships are so convincing and so funny, then people will absolutely love it. So I think this is the best thing Peter Kay's done for years, but equally, I think it's a no-brainer that it's going to do so well for the BBC and for iPlayer, because people absolutely adore him.
And Series 2, what do you think in comparison to Series 1? I mean, it's only 4 episodes.
Yeah, I think it's keeping up the quality, and I think it's interesting it's only 4 episodes. It's almost like they've gone, look, can we sustain this? People would love it to be 6 again, but actually we probably can't sustain this level of quality for 6, so we'll do 4. And that's really good. I really admire the fact that, channels like the BBC and ITV sometimes just do a series that's 3 or 4 episodes. The American model, which people praise all the time, you have to do like 22, 23 episodes or something, or 13 or whatever. And a lot of the time that's grotesquely spun out. This feels exactly the right length for what it is.
It's quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, let's hear a little clip from it. This is episode 1 of Series 2 of Peter Kay's Car Share. It's written by Paul Coleman, Peter Kay and Shan Gibson, and made by Goodnight Vienna.
Did I just call you?
Yes, you did.
Sorry, I must have rung in my bag.
Yeah? Can you tell me, am I speaking to the lady in charge of the Christmas promotions by any chance?
You are? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, you are. How can I help you, Mr. Redmond?
I'm just surprised you've got time to talk to me with all that extra responsibility you've taken on.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. Time's money and all that.
Yeah. You're such a balloon, are you?
Speaking of balloons, I'll need 500 red and green by Tuesday week pronto.
Tuesday week pronto, how's that work?
Well, let's just make it work, shall we?
I just thought, honestly, though, Boyd, that, you know, to start off a second series with them not together, because that was the very sad and poignant part of the end of the first series, wasn't it? That she's going to have to move in with her sister, and they're not going to share the car together anymore. So they're basically never off the phone to each other, are they? Them for their commute. She's on the bus, then she's on the tram.
Absolutely.
How did you think that worked?
Oh, I thought it was so clever. I thought it was fantastic, and to do that in the first episode was very bold as well. I thought, you know, they could have saved that device maybe for another episode or whatever, but it really, I thought it just to take the thing that we, you know, the crux of this show, which is the two of them together, side by side, and then get rid of that, dispense with that for this opener. I thought, you know, it's, I think, uncompromising talent like Peter Kay. I mean, of course, we should say that Peter Kay didn't even invent this show. It's, despite the fact it's called Peter Kay's Car Show, it was actually created by Paul Coleman, who you mentioned, and Tim Reed. But I think it shows an incredible amount of confidence in this show that they'll do that, and I thought it worked so well. I thought it was really funny and really clever.
Well, happily, you can watch the entire second series of Car Share right now, if you wish, on the BBC iPlayer. Episode 2, though, if you want to watch it with everybody else, will be on BBC One at 10:45pm. Loads of your texts coming in. Peter Kay, best line, it's a car, not a coaster. Very, very good if you've seen episode 1. Somebody else has only just tuned in, so did you mention Homeland? Oh, Nick. Not a day goes by where internally I don't think about Homeland. I'm mourning the loss of Peter Quinn. He's got to be the next 007 Rupert Friend. I would not say no to that. Just briefly, guys, what did you think of season 6 of Homeland? Because people have slagged it and say it's lost its way and then come back and blah-de-blah. It never got old for me. I've always loved it. What did you think of season 6?
Yeah, I agree. Same. I love the way Homeland. It's so topical, isn't it? The way they take these stories from. It's like they're scripting it right now. It's incredible the way it responds to current affairs. So that's my favourite thing about it. And I agree with you. I think season 6 was excellent.
I think it got really, really strong. And a lot of people said after they killed off Brody, long spoiler alert at that one, that it maybe lost its way. But you know what? I think it only got better. No offence to Damian Lewis, brilliant actor. Great character, but you know, after that, Claire Danes really got out there on her own and made something of it, and I think it's just been a brilliant series.
Okay, let's talk the other thing that we will be waiting to speak about, Broadchurch, the last ever episode, ITV1 tonight. Sarah, has it lived up to its expectations around it? What have you thought of Series 3, the final series?
I've really, really enjoyed Series 3. I've seen some of the elements that I fell in love with the series for in the first place. You know, there's been great little kind of stories going along in the sidelines, and I just think David Tennant and Olivia Colman, they are the heart of that show for me. They've been incredible. And Sarah Parish.
I know, I love Sarah
Julie
Parish.
Hesmond-Halsh. Like, Julie's given an incredible performance, don't get me wrong. That first episode, that 15 minutes of barely any dialogue, but, you know, just such a harrowing ordeal for her to go through, and obviously the aftermath. And then Sarah Parish just came through mid-series, boom, hit me right in the feelings. And it's just been great. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Let's have a listen to the trailer for tonight's episode.
So your previous alibi was false. You lied to us.
And I think there is still something that you are not telling us.
It'll be worse for you if you keep quiet.
You have a moral duty and a legal duty to tell us the truth.
One of the things I've most enjoyed is David Tennant just going full-scale Scottish accent and full angry. The episode last week was when he attacks those three boys verbally. Oh, he just eviscerates them.
Yeah. I was genuinely wondering, has he become more Scottish with each series?
The angrier he gets, the more Scottish he gets, which is superb. Let's talk about who you think did it at this point in time, Boyd.
Well, there's no easy way of saying this, but my theory all along has been there's going to be more than one person implicated, I think.
I agree.
I think it's not just about...
We like to call that hedging our bets.
Well, yeah, but that's genuinely my theory. I think it's not just going to be one person, do you know what I mean? I think it's partly to do with the filming on the mobile phone, etc. I'm not going to say more than that, but I think it'll be a rather horrible thing that ends up being what happened. That's my but I am hedging my bets as well. I don't think it's just going to be one person who ends up being responsible for this crime. Yeah.
Sarah, what about you?
I agree. I am partially hedging my bets, but partially it is the mobile phone thing that sits with me, because the whole way through we've had how important it is that Ellie's son has had this porn on his phone and the links to porn going out around the school, and Daisy Hardy, the picture of her being sent around the school.
David Tennant's daughter, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And it feels to me like maybe I'm wrong, but it feels to me like these must meet at some point. There has to be some kind of cross point where those storylines could intersect. And with the idea that Trish had seen this bright light being shone, and the idea that maybe it was a light being held by somebody. So I'm kind of the same, and I do think, as we were saying earlier, that if anybody puts Lenny Henry's character Ed in the frame, I think Twitter will have an absolute meltdown. Someone was tweeting about earlier. You just can't do that, can you?
Well, Andrew Job says, "Who done it? Question mark. Hashtag Broadchurch. If it's Lenny, Twitter will implode." Line of Duty and Broadchurch, very different, but both fantastic examples of the great writing, particularly a crime drama and police procedural writing in this country, Boyd.
Totally, absolutely. And I think, you look at these are shows that define what's great about British TV drama particularly. They're both, every episode written by the same person, every totally created. It's kind of like there's the auteur, if you like, in this is not the director, that different people direct each episode, and there's been some brilliant people work on it, but it's about the TV writer as the prime kind of talent behind all this stuff, and of course brilliantly cast and all that. But it does show, I think, the real strength of British TV, and how much it's admired globally. And people go on about Netflix and all that, Amazon Prime and HBO, and they're all doing brilliant stuff. But these two shows stand up. Both of these series right now stand up as good as anything going on in the world of TV right now, I think.
Two really interesting texts. Christine Hereford says, "Still don't know who did it in Broadchurch, but I think David Tennant's character will die. Something to do with his previous illness." Chris, thank you very much. That is not a spoiler, anybody. That is just the thoughts of Chris. Nigel in Bolton says, "Balaclava Man is the forensic copper, Kevin, or the ACC, and he's the father of the WPC's baby who gave him the file." Holy cow. Disclaimer, I will change my mind 45 seconds into the next episode. Nigel, that's true.
That sounds like a Broadchurch twist and turn in Line of Duty.
It's very, very sad that Broadchurch is going to be over, but has it run its course, Boyd, just finally?
Yeah, I think, remember, Series 2, I was one of the few people who actually rather enjoyed Series 2. People got an incredible amount of criticism, just because it was different, to Series 1, I think. And this has been more of a whodunit thing. I think it's the right time to stop it now, because I think to give them more cases, those two brilliant characters, would be stretching credulity.
So very quickly, we need you to pick a winner for Sell It To Me. Paul Sheffield, The Story of Steak Knife, Panorama, That's Why I Pay My Licence, he says. Callum says Riverdale adds a real twist of mystery to the Archie comics. And Nick Deneen says watching Crashing on Sky Atlantic. So Crashing, Riverdale, or The Story of Steak Knife on Panorama. What do you think, guys?
I go Crashing because it's quite obscure, and we always Riverdale is Netflix again, so
Magic. All right, then, great stuff. We'll watch Crashing on Sky Atlantic. Thank you very much, Nick Deneen. Well done to you. Sarah Doran, thanks very much for being with us. Boyd Hilton, lovely to talk to you of an Easter Monday.